Hey, it's Bella, and this is my video for the final GLP interaction vlog or assignment. If you can't tell, I'm pretty sick, so I'm sorry if it's for being stuffy or for sniffling. But obviously need to do this. So I'm just gonna start off by talking about my feelings that I had throughout the, I guess, making of this project and during the interactions that my partner and I did together and etc. So some feelings that I experienced before, during, after our interactions. For our first interaction, we went and got coffee together on Grand River, and before that interaction, like actually walking to the coffee shop, I was pretty nervous because I didn't really know like how my partner, her name's Junma, by the way, how my partner was gonna really react to like the questions I was gonna ask her, or how, I guess, like willing she was going to be with answering my questions and open-minded, and I was wondering if is she going into this as open-minded as I am, or does she feel just as nervous as I do. So I was trying to put myself in like her shoes and like try to understand how she might feel like going into this interaction, but I kind of hoped that she would be doing the same thing, even though like it was for my project. So yeah, for the first interaction I felt nervous throughout like asking her questions about like her high school experience, while we were at the coffee shop, like during the interaction. I was still nervous, but I got to be a little more comfortable towards the end. We weren't like complete strangers at that point, especially since we talked about like our high school experiences and like our families and what our childhood kind of consisted of. So that kind of made me obviously more familiar with her, as not only like as a person, but just about like her overall like childhood and how she grew up. So that was really interesting. So going into the second interaction, I was a little more comfortable, but I was still nervous, just solely based off of like what the interaction was gonna be. So for our second interaction, we actually went to the Union and went bowling. And going into it, I was nervous because I didn't really know like what to expect. I was nervous because I'd never taught someone how to bowl before, and having to teach like an actual like adult how to bowl is obviously different from teaching a child how to bowl. And I was nervous because I didn't know like if she was gonna like it or not, or if maybe this was gonna be something that she wanted to do in the future. But I do remember her telling me that it was something that she was willing to try. And excuse me, I'm sorry. So I thought that that interaction would have been interesting. So like I said, going into it, I was nervous because I didn't really know like the reaction that I was gonna get out of her and like the activity itself. But as we like started bowling and we played two games, and like probably I would say like towards the end of like the first game, she like got a good like hang of the game, and was able to like obviously like keep track of her own score, and like she knew what like the whole concept was and whatnot. So it got to be more fun, and I kind of went from this mindset of like, this, I'm doing this for a project, to, oh, I'm just like hanging out with a friend. And I think that changing my mindset made the whole entire interaction a lot more easier because I wasn't as tense, I don't think. And I think that her seeing that I was more comfortable made her feel more comfortable, because I didn't want it to be awkward for her or for even myself. So just having to change like my mindset to more of like a comfortable and like open minded, like, I guess, view, it made things a lot easier. But yeah, so going like transitioning from the first interaction to the second interaction, I definitely got more comfortable, and I think I could like confidently say that for my partner too. So it was nice to be able to get closer with her and like be able to like just hang out with her like as a friend, not just as like a partner for a school project. So it was really nice. And the things that I learned about myself like throughout this project, I would say that it has made me more of an open-minded person, which I'm really like proud to say that. Not that I was like closed-minded before, but it definitely made me like think about other cultures and like how they like differ from like ours, and like I also like kind of like made me understand and have more of a grip of an idea on like what might be a norm for them, and like how it might not be a norm for us, and then vice versa. So, and I also think that's made me less judgmental. Again, not that I was judgmental before, but it made me kind of like, it kind of made my like sense of empathy a bit better, like being able to put myself in another person's shoes and like trying to understand like what they've been through, like the situations they've been in, and what it might be like coming from a different country and going to school here and not really knowing anyone or like anything, or like what the norms are and like what's socialized and what's not, and things along those lines. So I think overall it's made me like it's made me more open-minded, as I said, and given me a lot of insight on different cultures and like what other people like experience like when they're growing up, and then what they experience when they come here, because it's almost kind of like a clean slate, because you don't really know anything about like the culture, because you obviously like when you're growing up, you like what you're around and what you're exposed to, like that's what you're used to, and then when you start college, it's like what you've known for like 18 years, it changes all of a sudden. So I give people a lot of props, like international students. I give them a lot of credit for being able to like come from a completely different country and then like coming here and like experiencing all these new things, and even if it might not be like a norm to them already. So having to be able to like adjust like your everyday experiences and like what is normal and what is not, like I think that's really like that must be hard. So I give like international students a lot of credit for that. And I guess that like as a result of these interactions, what I might do differently as an MSU student is, like I said, not be like as judgmental, and maybe I think I would probably be like more open to going to like different like MSU like campus events that like involve like international students, or I wouldn't be as nervous to like approach an international student or like ask them questions about their culture, because I've learned that like sorry about the lighting. I've learned that they, you know, like they actually enjoy like sharing information about their culture and like how they grew up, because around here it's they don't really get asked that question a lot. So for them to be able to talk about like their home and like how they grew up, I think that like gives them like a sense of comfort to know that like other people are actually interested in like their life and things along those lines. And I would say that I would be too if I was in their shoes. So I think that like as a whole, like this all of the interactions in this project and like asking my partner questions just made me more like aware of, you know, what others are going through and how this experience might influence me as a learner. I would say just like it said, it made me more like, again, like open-minded. But I feel like that's really important as like an educator too. Even though I'm not going into like teaching, I feel like if I were going to be a teacher, that I would, you know, it would be important to like understand like different children's situations, where they come from, even if it's like if they're a transfer student in like an elementary school, middle school, high school, whatever the case may be. I feel like it's really important to like understand that like what might be a norm in America might not be a norm for them. So you have to be able to like be open-minded and understand, okay, like this is not what they're used to. Like how can I make their learning experience better for them? How can I make their learning experience useful? And just be, because I feel like being open-minded as a teacher, like that's super important, because you need to make sure that you are adjusting like your teaching techniques to not just one group of kids or one like student. You have to make sure that it's going to be like useful and make an impact on all of your children in your classroom. So I feel like you need to not, you can't stick to like stereotypes, and you can't stick to just like, you know, what's going to work for one kid. You have to make sure that you're accompanying like all of your kids and like their needs and how they learn things. So I think that like being like what's the word? I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank, but like just being like culturally aware of like other people is really important. And I'm going to take that not only as like, even though I'm, like I said, I'm not going to teaching, I feel like that's even having that as like a learner and as an overall like person, like that's a really like vital aspect to like have and embodied within yourself. Because like nowadays I feel like a lot of people are growing to become judgmental of people that come from different countries, and I don't want to be like that. I want to be someone that's open to any other person, and to not be too quick to judge them, and to be willing to learn about like where they come from and the things that they've been through and things along those lines, because you might really enjoy all the information that gets shared with you. So I would say that, you know, that overall like this project, it's given me a lot of insight and a lot of different things. And I've enjoyed it for the most part. Like having to like actually go out of my way to interact with like an international student, which is something that I wouldn't normally do, just because like that was hard. And being nervous, like going to the interactions, like that wasn't necessarily like easy to swallow. So I feel like it's, I don't know, it was a good interaction and like good project overall, and I'm glad that I was able to do it. But yeah, I gained a lot of knowledge from it, so, and I can't be mad at that. So it was great overall, and I'm thankful that Junma, my partner, actually wanted to be my partner, and I'm happy and thankful that she was willing to share so much information with me, even though she wasn't required to. So for her to be able to open up to me and answer all my questions, I really thank her for that. And she wasn't comfortable with being on camera, which I understand, so that's why she wasn't in my video. But overall, I hope you enjoyed watching all of my vlogs. Again, I'm sorry I'm sick. But yeah, so I really enjoyed doing this project, and I hope you enjoyed watching all my vlogs. Alright, thanks. Talk to you later. Bye!